But we've talked about their long-standing habit of being attracted to men instead of women. That it's a complete illusion. It doesn't even exist. It's a result of fear, emotional reaction.
Exactly.
If you can deal with that the same-sex attraction, the attraction of men to men, the attraction that men have for men will actually just disappear.
Absolutely, that's the good news. And it's not only is it good news because it shows you a more effective therapy, but it's good news because it's showing you that homosexuality is an illusion based on a trauma. Homosexuality is an illusion based on a trauma. And that if you see it correctly, if you clear your brain and your eyes, there is no homosexuality. We're undoing a problem. We're not changing you. We're just undoing the problem. And by undoing the foundation, the sexual orientation will change. Now we are talking into the therapy. These are called self-states. Self-state is a frame of mind, a state of mind. Lots of literature on, Jung called it a complex. And if we pay attention to this, we'll know where we are. Let's talk about the assertion. The assertion is, I'm feeling good and strong and confident. I feel connected to my feelings. I feel connected to others. I'm able to express myself. I know who I am. I'm grounded. I'm feeling secure. Usually, religious experience is in that category. I'm feeling good about life. I'm feeling good about me. I have a sense about me. Many of our clients have trouble staying in that assertion. Some of them have trouble even identifying it. I saw a man, a Pakistani actually, a Muslim, for the first time Thursday before I came here. And he couldn't relate to the assertive state. We had to spend about 15 minutes trying to recall it, and we were able to recall it, and I'll tell you how we get them to recall it. What I'm saying here is that you cannot go from assertion to homosexuality. When you are in your assertive state, when you're feeling good and grounded and solid and secure, it may come to you as a thought, but there's nothing compelling about it. You have to go from, and look at the arrows, from assertion to shame to gray zone to homosexual enactment. Now, like I said last night, my wife says never speak in absolutes. I am speaking absolutely. This pattern always works. Those arrows only go in one direction, and that's how it goes. So, you say to your client, you cannot go from assertion to homosexual enactment. That's the good news. Therefore, the therapy is not to worry about homosexuality. All we have to do is keep you in your assertion. Now, what gets our clients out of assertion is shame. What is shame? Shame is when somebody says something to me or does something to me that makes me feel bad about myself. I'm talking, I'm engaging, and if anybody here is dealing with this issue, you can relate to it, and probably most people can relate to this. You're engaging, and they did something or said something, and you feel a disconnection, and you feel like they're being critical of you. It's a shame moment. It's a shame moment. It's a moment in which I am suddenly deflated. I feel excluded. I feel left out. It could be done with one person. It could be done with a group of people. It's so 50% of our therapy is dealing with shame moments of the past regarding peers especially. I did this and then the teacher said that and I felt embarrassed. I was humiliated. I was ill at ease. Remember we talked last night about the anticipatory shame posture. The guy with a homosexual problem is always anticipating the next shame moment. There's a lot of literature on shame. It's a very uncomfortable feeling. It's the feeling of exclusion, expulsion. Suddenly everybody, and everyone can relate. Everyone has a memory of a shame moment. Everything was going great, and suddenly I said something or did something, and then it looked like everybody was against me, and everybody was laughing at me, and I'm not sure why. And the question of why is this happening now is very much a part of the shame moment. The shame moment throws the client into the gray zone. better known as dissociation. Notice how the early pattern with the mother set this all up. Because when the mother dissociated, the kid drops. There's an affect collapse. Okay? When they're in their assertion, they feel solid and strong in their chest. If we had some videos, if I had time to do this, I'd show you videos of when the guy moves into his assertion, he feels strong and solid in his chest and in his shoulders. This is what we call somatic markers of assertion. So we teach our client, when you want to go to your assertion, feel that solid feeling in your chest, in your shoulders, and they get that. Then we show them a pornographic picture. I say, hold that and look at the picture. And there's no reaction. There's no reaction. Because you can't feel that assertion in your body and have a homosexual arousal. That's what's going to drive the gays nuts, because this is a total contradiction to their philosophy. Okay. The gray zone is blah, disconnected, shut down, depressed, vaguely irritable, lonely, negative thinking. And then from there, the idea pops of acting out. That's the pattern. On the side is grief. Grief does not fit that, what we call the preceding scenario, the sequence of events that lead the person to homosexual enactment. That's ASGZHE. That's the preceding scenario. So a client comes in and he'll say typically, and every client in reparative therapy has to memorize that, and they have to know where they are on that. So a client who's just beginning therapy will say, yeah, I acted out on Friday night. No, I acted out on Saturday night. Okay, fine. If you acted out on Saturday night, can you follow the sequence to go, I don't know. I can't, all I know is it suddenly occurred to me, I think I'm going to go act out. Acting out can mean anything, pornographic, whatever that means for the person. I said, well, let's do detective work. We call it detective work. When was the last time you were in your assertion? And they can't even remember when they were in the assertion. I go, well, let's see now. You acted out on Saturday night. How did you feel Saturday morning? Saturday morning, lousy. Yeah, I remember waking up. Okay, fine, you're in the gray zone. How did you feel Friday night? Friday night, what did I do Friday? They don't even remember, because they're in the gray zone. They don't remember, because they're out of it. Friday night, yeah, I stayed home. Okay, you're in the gray zone. What happened Friday morning? Friday morning. Oh yeah, I remember. Friday morning I felt pretty good. Good, all right. So you were in your assertion. Tell me about it. I woke up Friday morning. I was looking forward to having lunch with my friend. I was going to meet him for lunch, and everything was great. I did this, I did that around the house. I was looking forward to it. I went, I met him. And how was the meeting? The lunch was nice. We were talking. And then you get the aha moment, because they're poking around, and I see it before they say it. They go, ah. They go, ah. The aha moment. Well, they say. It's very interesting, because sometimes they get the wrong moment. They go, well, I think it was this, but the affect is not there. They go, then they get it. Okay, what was it? I was having lunch with Tony, straight guy. If he's Tony, he's got to be a straight guy, right? I mean, who are we kidding? If it was Stephen, that's another story. But anyway, it was Tony. And I was talking to Tony, and I was talking to him about something very important to me, and I was telling him, and he was very interesting, and suddenly his cell phone went off, and he started talking to someone. And I felt the drop. It's that simple. I feel, because they've been sensitized from childhood to malattunement means drop, collapse. And when we got off the phone, of course, he doesn't have enough ego strength to say, Tony, I think that was a little rude for you. I was right in the middle of a story. They can't do that yet. I mean, 2 more years of therapy and they can get to that point, right? Which, by the way, we call that double looping, and I'll explain that. And when the shame moment comes up, you confront the person and talk to them and repair instantly so you get back to your assertion. Oh, I see. So when I got on the phone, you felt like I was ignoring. Oh, I see that. And then the person recoups. And then they're back to their assertion. So we teach our clients, when you feel the drop, deal with it and recoup so that you're always in your assertion and you never have to worry about your homosexuality. And he said, come to think of it, he said, I was remembering after I left Tony, I was walking back to my car, and I had the desire to look at some porn when I went back, but I did not, and I resisted it. I was in a gray zone until Saturday night I acted out. That is called the preceding scenario, the sequence of events that set the client up to homosexual enactment. In the beginning, this is a big mystery to them, but they figured it out, and the trick is to identify the shame moment and deal with it. Now let me spend a minute on a close-up picture of the assertion-shame transition. Now we're getting into a little neurobiology. If this is getting confusing, I hope not. Try to follow me on this. We have left brain, right brain. The left brain is left for logic, linguistic, linearity, the thinking part. The right brain is the emotional side, all right? When you're talking to a person and there's an attunement, your right brain and their right brain is connected. There's a flow back and forth between right brain and right brain. That's the attunement. Now, when you're talking to some people and you're not clued in, you're hearing the words, but you're not getting that full attunement, and we know it. We all know when we're attuned or not, right? Like right now, nobody's attuned. I can see right away. No. So I just experienced a shame moment. No, but when you have that attunement, right brain, but if the person disconnects, then the right brain feels the drop, abandonment, collapse. I'm being ignored. I suddenly feel less worthy, okay? So that's called a double bind moment. The double bind, it's getting a little too technical, but I'm going to try it. Double bind means two binds happen at the same time. My left brain and right brain get disconnected. That's one bind. The other bind is with the other person. So a double bind moment, a shame moment, is when I am disconnected suddenly from the other, and I'm disconnected from my right brain and my left brain are not functioning. So when I'm connected, when I'm really attuned to myself, my right brain and left brain are in attunement. My thinking and my feeling is attuned. That's the assertive state, where my thinking and my feeling is attuned. A shame moment causes a split between my left brain and my right brain. That's why whenever you recall a shame moment, one of the characteristics, universal characteristics of a shame moment is, why is this happening to me? What's going on? Why are they doing this to me? What did I do to deserve this? This is all left brain trying to figure it out. There's a disconnect. So the right brain is feeling affect, but the left brain can't make sense of it. Okay, that is a shame moment. And then we'll talk a little later about how we do EMDR, stimulating left brain, right brain, on traumatic moments to recoup it. Talk about that later. Okay, so that's a double bind. A double loop is the person says, wait a minute, I'm just experiencing something going on here. This person just did that, and I'm feeling like this. I identify it and have the courage, which is a big issue for our clients, to say it. Hey, right now when you just did that, I felt blah, blah, blah. Now, if the person is receptive, they'll say, oh, you mean when I just did, okay, I'm sorry. It doesn't even have to apologize. All it has to do is acknowledge it. And then there's a reconnection. So now I'm reconnected to the person, and my left brain and right brain are going again. The circuitry is back to normal. Now, sometimes you have a friend who goes, well, what are you blaming me for? It's your problem. In other words, he refuses to double loop. So we teach our clients, those are people that are not good for you. Those are people who will shame you and not take responsibility. So part of the therapy is learning who to be friends with. You see, they become, and if you work with this population, you'll know what I'm talking about. They don't know who are healthy people to hang out with. They hang out with people that get dependent upon. People that use them, people that ignore them, they become dependent. They don't know what a healthy friendship looks like. And they don't know how to end unhealthy relationships. That's all part of the therapy. So that's what we teach our clients to do. Let me mention real briefly what grief is. If I had to draw a line in that diagram, the top four are about the present, and the grief is about the past. In the course of therapy, they have to deal with grieving of the past. Things that happened to them. The completion of reparative therapy is facing realistically what happened to you. The kind of parents I had, the kinds of experiences I went through, the difficulties I had in teenage years. I did not have a normal teenage like a lot of kids did. I didn't enjoy my life when I was growing up. I had this preoccupation, I had this problem, I had this inferiority, I had this, and they have to really deal with that. That's part of the healing process. We spend quite a bit of time talking about hurtful events in the past, which is grief. Okay. That's basically that model. Any questions? Yes?
You said that you are working with a Muslim client.
Right.
And this seems to make sense for anybody. Is it very likely that people who are not of the Christian faith or of some kind of faith actually come and see you and see that their homosexuality is a maladaptive behavior?
Yeah, we do. We actually, most of our clients are religious. Most of our clients are Christian. We have Orthodox or conservative Jewish people, and we have Muslim. We have many kinds of religious denominations. But we also have people who have no religious conviction at all, but they just don't want to be gay. They've looked at it, they've explored it, and they don't want it. It doesn't work for them. It brings them more unhappiness. It's tempting in the beginning, but every time they act out, it just doesn't satisfy. So it's not necessarily a religious conviction. It's an experiential kind of thing. Yeah. That's a lot of information, especially double bind, double loop. Very difficult. Yeah.
It talks about the family dynamics
Mm-hmm.
and how each person fits into this.
You have to look at the sources of the shame. You have to look at the sources of the shame. And it could be from older brothers, it could be from an older sister, usually not younger siblings, Sometimes they will have a younger brother who is very bossy and very strong and very aggressive. But that sometimes happens, but usually it's an older brother, older sister, mother, father. That's what you're dealing with. If you have sexual molestation from someone outside the family, that's another additional trauma. What we're saying is trauma is the source of homosexuality. Let me talk a little bit about EMDR. And this is a new technique that we have introduced for the last 3-4 years. EMDR stands for Eye Movement Desensitization Reprocessing. A psychologist about 20 years ago, her name was Francine Shapiro. Francine Shapiro was walking to work one day, and she was thinking about something troubling, something problematic in her life. And as she was walking through the park, there were these birds, maybe white pigeons, flying around, and she was looking at them. And then as she went back, when she returned to the thought, it didn't have the negative charge that had happened just a moment before. And she said to herself, well, what did I just do? And she started to experiment and realized that by moving your eyes left, right, regarding a painful memory, the negative affect goes down. And that after a while, you're able to look at the memory and have no negative reaction. And we find that to be shame. That's how we deal with shame in the past and shame in the present. And you could try this on your own sometime. Think of something that when you recall it, it's disturbing, and you move your eyes left, right. And we do that for about 40 seconds and stop. And then whatever they say, then we'll continue, we'll do that. And usually about maybe 20 minutes later or whatever, depending on the intensity of the trauma, we wipe it out. And sometimes we'll do 10 traumas, 15 trauma, 20, as many as we need to do to bring them all down. And then we'll go over each one and go, do you remember the time when the scoutmaster yelled at you in front of all the scout? He goes, yeah, 0. Do you remember when your mother scolded you in front of your friends? 1, no problem. 0 or 1 we'll accept. But usually it's 8 or 9 when they start. And these are all shame moments because, again, our clients were conditioned to be shamed. So we're wiping that out. Now look at how that fits. Now, why left, right, left? What is that doing? She didn't know why moving your eyes has that effect. Because what you're doing is you're stimulating left side of the brain, right side, left, right, left. So you don't have to just move your eyes, you can tap. Or we have earphones. Or we have hand vibrators. Anything that stimulates left side, right side for left brain, right brain. Why? Because trauma is, it comes into my right brain, but it gets stuck, the left brain, it's like Roto-Rooter. It just got stuck in the middle, and you have to clear up the passage. So trauma is, it came into my body, but my left brain could not process it, could not make sense of it. I can't let it go. I can't let it go. There's no rationale for it. So by holding the memory, you're stimulating left brain, right brain, and you're stimulating the processing of the trauma. So shame moments are flooded right brain, emotionality, but left brain, why would Tony do this? Why, when Tony picked up that cell phone, is it because it's okay to talk to someone when you're talking? Does it mean that he was not interested in me? Does it mean I was boring? Was it about me? Was it about him? See, you can't figure it out. But then with the EMDR, you go, yeah, Tony was a jerk, and he needs to know that, whatever. There's a clarity. All right, so that's what EMDR is. Yeah, so you're actually holding the memory, and I'll say to you from 0 to 10, how strong is the uncomfortable feeling? A 6. Where do you feel it? I feel a tightness in my chest, which we know is fear. Fine. And then after 40 seconds, I'll say, what did you get? And by the way, we do it on telephone, by telephone. I invented it, and it works. I invented it, it works. I go, all right, wherever you're sitting, look straight ahead, and just choose 2 visual points in front of you. Without moving your head, choose 2 visual points on the left periphery, right periphery. And I gave him a tap, and I used to go, tap, tap. Now we got a tapper. Push the button, bing, bing, bing. Stop, what'd you get? Keep doing it. And if their eyes hurt them, we'll do tapping.
I have a question, and I don't know how to phrase it, but where would temptation fall on this? Is there a false assertion?
Yes, there is a false assertion. It's an inflation. Some gay activists will say, no, man, I was feeling great, I was feeling wonderful, and I just wanted to act out. Really? Tell me about it. And it's a hyper animation. So it's really not a centeredness. It's a hyper animation. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a grandiosity too, because hey, I can do this too. Why not? Let me go all the way on this. There's a grandiosity to that. Sure.